staying with TV3. Welcome to Election360 live from our studio here at Adisawe in Accra. Like we indicated, if it has to do with politics, this is your trusted platform for it. On today's edition, we'll be focusing on largely the voter distribution. The Electoral Commission says 18 million Ghanaians have voted, have registered to vote. Out of that 18 million, on the show today, we'll show you which regions have the distribution and which regions have the highest, which has the lowest, the nominal figures and the percentile increases. So that's our key conversation this morning. Also, we'll be hitting the campaign trail. We know that the NDC's John Dramani Mahama is in the western region trying to canvass for votes. Key issue that has come up on his campaign there has to do with issues of galamsey and infrastructural deficit. The MPP's Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has just concluded his northern regional tour and has arrived in the Greater Accra region. Also in the Greater Accra region, we have Alan Kojo Trematin of the Butterfly Movement. So it is already quite heated almost across the country. The vice presidential candidates of these two individuals are also in other parts of the country. We'll be touching base with the key ones to find out what the key issues are and how they are all wrapping up their campaigns ahead of December 7th. This is your Election Command Center. Welcome to Election360. Thank you for staying with us. I indicated my name is Martin Asiedudati. We're going straight to what the nugget we have for you today is, but take very good, pay attention to this particular number, 11. We have just 11 days to go out and vote. So if you want to be sure when you're going to be voting, stay with us because we'll be counting down with you even up until the very microsecond of when polls will open in Ghana. So 11 days to the 2024 polls. Now let's go to the nugget we have for you today. Now it has to do with an election petition. You know that Ghana has already had 2 election petitions, but today we are focusing on when a particular party or individual can take an election to the courts for a review if they believe things have not gone their way. So what is stated in the law is that an election petition shall be presented within 21 days after the date of the publication in the Gazette of the result of the election to which it relates, except that a petition questioning an election on an allegation of corruption or corrupt practice and specifically alleging a payment of money or other award to have been made by the person whose election is questioned or to have been made on his behalf to his knowledge may be presented within 21 days after the date of the alleged payment. Simply put, normally I say that there is a lot of legalese or legal language, but primarily what it means is that if after an election, when the EC publishes the results and you have concerns with the results, you have a period of 21 days to take it to the Supreme Court for a review of the election results. And it could be not just the results, but if you have justifiable grounds to think that someone was induced to either vote for another person or there were issues of malpractice ahead of the elections, when the results do come out, you have the opportunity to challenge that by taking it to the court within 21 days. It goes on to say that the time limit provided by this section for the presentation of an election petition shall not be extended. So within that period of 21 days, if it elapses, sorry, but the law does not allow for an extension of that period. So every political party or even at the parliamentary level, if you feel something has gone untoward during the electioneering process, you can take it to court after the results have been declared by the EC for it to be reviewed. But you have a 21-day window to get that done. And it even goes specifically to that of the presidential election. So the 2 presidential election petitions we've had in the country have both been presidential, non-parliamentary yet. But for the presidential, it says that the validity of the election of the president may be challenged only by a citizen of Ghana who may present a petition for the purpose to the Supreme Court within 21 days after the declaration of the results of the election in respect of which the petition is presented. So, bottom line, I'm sure you follow what's happening, and this is backed by law. So the Supreme Court is awaiting anybody who has an issue about an election, especially the 2024 elections. If you are aggrieved in any way, within 21 days after the results are declared, you can run to the courts with your documentation to get that reviewed. So that's our election nugget for today. Now, we'll be delving into the numbers. Today, we're looking at the regional distribution of the 18 million people who are registered to vote. Which region has the highest, which has the lowest? That is our big conversation right about now.
I'm a Ghanaian, and I love luxury accredited faith, and I love democracy.
December 7th, Ghana is voting.
Only peace. Peace, I give it to you all.
I love Ghana.
Peaceful.
What will you ever do without me?
You'll never leave me, right?
Memories of Love, a tale of unpredictable love. Meet Ivan and Joseph, two soldiers who become best friends when they meet at the war front. They spend their time talking about their love lives, with Joseph telling Ivan about his great love for his girlfriend Andrea.
Hold them, you got hit! We're brothers in this, Gatsby. Grenade!
Tragedy struck when they got captured by rebels, imprisoned and tortured. Ivan is rescued by the military, but the suffering he experienced triggered him to assume the identity of Joseph while losing memories, perception and awareness of his own life and past.
Ivan?
And then?
How do you know my name?
It's me. I'm Otep.
Memories of Love shows Mondays to Thursdays at 8 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by MTN,
Cowbell Coffee, Yamvita,
Onga, Kivo 100% natural hot pepper,
Cousins Baby.
After an exciting journey filled with creativity, flavors, and fierce competition, Kitchen Wars reaches its grand finale. 4 alumni schools, each representing the best of culinary passion and skills, are ready to face off in the final battle. Who will rise to claim the title of this season? Will it be Laboni Senior High, Infant Smith School, Tamale Senior High, or Yas Santua Girls? Saturday, 30th November is the date. The venue, Ifwa Sutherland Park. Time is 10 a.m. Come represent your school in various competitions like the 5-a-side soccer indoor games, PlayStation, eating competition, dance battles, sing-alongs, rap contests, and many more.
Kitchen Wars!
Expect an unforgettable day of culinary magic surprises. Will your favorite school take home the bragging rights? Don't miss this mouth-watering finale. Kitchen Wars, your school fit cook.
Kitchen Wars is brought to you by Kivo Foods, Everpack, Mazim Foods, Miss Cookie Spices,
Chana.
Welcome back to Election360 on TV3. Like I indicated, we're going to be talking about the numbers. And they say politics is a game of numbers. Senna Kwashi is still with me. He was here yesterday. Nice. We still have him with us to talk about the numbers and the regional distribution. So thank you for staying with us. Be part of the conversation, however, and let's know what you also think. Which constituency are you watching us from? Or better still, which region are you watching us from? Let's get part of the interactions from you as well. So the Electoral Commission, after a national exercise to put all the registered voters together, came out to say that we have 18 million people, or over 18 million people who have registered to vote. Coincidentally, we have a breakdown of how many people voted per region. And that's what we're going to be talking about here on Election360. Senna, so we're starting from the Greater Accra region, which has the most in terms of people who have registered to vote, the quantum in terms of numbers. So last year, or in the previous election, we had 3.5 million people who had registered in the Greater Accra region. But those going into the 2024 election, 3.7 million. That's the biggest in terms of total registered numbers by region. That's the Greater Accra region. And it has an increase of about 236,121 new voters who have now registered to vote. And that's the percentage increase, about 6.69% or 6.7%. Also, if you look at the presidential elections in terms of Greater Accra, the NDC has won 4 times, the NPP has won 3 times, and per our projection, looking at how slim this is, it is likely to be a very competitive election in 2024 on December 7 when we go to the polls. And this is since 96. If you even add 92, we can say the NDC has won 5 times, the NPP has 3 times, and 2024 is thrown up into the air for anybody to decide. But let's go specifically to the regional breakdown. Senna will take us through that.
Okay, so when you're looking at Accra, or Greater Accra, if you look at it as a whole, it is still one of the, should I say, or it is one of the swing regions, as we actually call places like that. So we'll just look at a bit of the numbers when it comes to Greater Accra. And this is the whole Greater Accra region, right? And we are comparing the numbers from 2012, 2016, and also 2020. Right. So what you can see is, again, in 2012, of course, Mahama won by 54% compared to Nana Akufo-Addo's 44.24%. This percentage for Mahama came down to 51%. In 2016, and then of course in 2020, even though the numbers went up for him, on the national level he was not able to clinch the full details. Right. Now when you pick a specific place like Shai Osudoku, when you look at Shai Osudoku, in 2012 Mahama was able to do 74% in Shai Osudoku, and then when you come all the way down to 2020, again he was still able to do 72.14%. There was a bit of a dip for him in 2016 where he did about 70%. But what you can see is that the numbers for the MPP and the NDC in Shai Osudoku has stayed almost the same, wavering just by some few percentage points from election to election. Now, when you pick another constituency in Greater Accra, which is a very key one for the NDC, Ningo Pram, where Sam George and, you know, the very wonderful Sam George is, you would see that the numbers again dipped in 2016, but came up for the NDC in the 2020 elections. Maybe to pick another random constituency, which is the Madina constituency, Francis Xavier's constituency. Yes. Again, the same trend is what we see. NDC had it in 2012. It dipped a little bit for them, or a lot actually, if you look at the percentage.
2016, MPP won Madina presidential election.
Because the dip again from 56% to 48% was quite a huge drop for the NDC, and the MPP gained almost 8 percentage points when it comes to the 2016 elections when you're comparing to 2012. But then when you go back now to the 2020 election, it's even back to where the NDC would expect it to be, and that is also the latest projection or the latest historical results that we have for the Madina constituency.
And it is interesting to note that you talked about the Ningo Pram constituency. So in the Greater Accra region, there are constituencies that have predominantly voted for the NDC. Ningo Pram, Sege, Adan, those areas, Ashaiman and the rest, have consistently voted for the NDC. However, in 2016, like you indicated, all through the analysis you have done, we see that the numbers have dropped for the NDC. Yes. And it was because, again, in 2016, that was when Nana Akufo-Addo was
call for change.
For the first time, he became president of the Republic. So I think that it was also because there was a clear change of political party. Yeah. You know, so Ghanaians were voting out one party and bringing in another. Exactly. So whoever was coming in had a national swell or majority votes. Yes. So it really dwindled my NDC's votes. So all the ones we've looked at, all the 4 constituencies we've looked at, NDC dropped compared to what they had in 2012 and in 2020. Yes. And it goes back to buttress the point that a number of these constituencies must have thought that maybe they made a mistake. And they or exactly. They tried something and it didn't work, so then they went back to their 2020 or their regular style of voting for one party. So maybe we'll look at some key constituencies that are predominantly NPP. So if you look through from 2012, 2016 and 2020, you can tell that the constituency down here, which is the Weja Gbawe, has consistently been an NPP constituency, or they predominantly voted NPP. So look at the numbers clearly. NPP got 56.1% in 2012, 61, actually an increment, of course, because that was when Akufo-Addo came into power. But look at the drop in NDC's votes, 42 to 37.
Almost 5%.
Yes. And in 2020, the NPP lost about 1.6% of the votes.
Which was practically gained by the NDC.
And it shifted to the NDC because if you see 37.5% and 39%, that tells you that the NDC actually gained. Yes. And we are using the two with all due respect to the other political parties that also contested. Course, yes. Yeah, but we know that it's almost always a 2-horse race, and the odds favored John Mahama in 2020 at the Weja Gbawe constituency, although the NPP won the presidential vote. Yeah. Maybe another constituency to watch, which is the Botiano English Amanfrom. Now, one other key thing people must have at the back of their minds is the number of registered voters in the area and whether it's gone up or down. So if you take a close look at the numbers, Botiano has been won by the NDC in 2012. Then NPP won it in 2016. Then in 2020, NPP won again. So at least they managed to maintain a hold on the constituency
from 2016
and 2020. Yes. And that's the NPP. So the NDC probably has a bit more work to do if they are to reverse this. But Botiano English Amanfrom predominantly has been
a swing.
It swings, but then it favors the NPP pretty much more.
You made a very good point about the number of registered voters. So what you see is that beyond the percentages, when you look at the nominal figures, in 2012, the person who won, or the party that won that particular constituency, had 23,000 registered voters casting their vote for them. Now, when you look at 2020, the party that won, it shot all the way up to 41,000. So when you look through the whole trend, of course, Botiano English Amanfrom has had an increase in the number of registered voters. And of course, if that's the trend that we are seeing, we are expecting to see an increase again in the 2024 data of who.
Certainly, yes. It's also gone up again, certainly. Right, so we're going back to the key ones that we are looking out for you in terms of the numbers. Now, the next region with the most registered voters is the Ashanti region. And it has stayed so since '96 in terms of the regions that have the most voters, Greater Accra and Ashanti. The Ashanti region, as of 2020, I should say, had 3 million voters. And we actually rounded up these numbers. So it is 3.2, there are extra numbers behind it, but we've rounded it up. And they've gained about 200,000 more people in the Ashanti region. If you look at the quantum of those in the region, this percentage increase is actually very small. There's just about 9% increase of new voters onto the voter register in the Ashanti region. Eventually, or as time goes on, we'll actually bring you specific constituency gains because we realized from our backroom conversations and analysis that the constituencies that have gained the most in terms of the new voters are in constituencies that the NDC won in the Ashanti region. We'll do those breakdowns later. It could mean two things. It could mean that the people there actually want to vote more for the NDC, or the NPP got its people to vote more, to register more, so that they can vote to even out the numbers of the NDC in there. Those details will come as we build up to December 7. But this is what the Ashanti region looks like in terms of the quantum of new voters they have. Presidential election-wise, it's been a very comfortable win for the NPP all through. If even you add 92, it's been very comfortable for the NPP. And our projection for the Ashanti region is that the NPP is likely to win it. When you talk about nominal figures and percentages, that is where the conversation is. You know that when NPP selected Dr. Napo Asankol, or Napo, or Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, he promised the party that the NPP is likely or is looking at getting 85%.
Yes.
That has been doubted by many pollsters and regular election observers, that NPP cannot get 85%. That is their hope. It also stands to reason why Dr. Baumia would spend 15 days in the Ashanti region alone, trying to whip up sentiment. Maybe they know something we don't know.
It's a big base for them, and you don't also want to lose your big base. You don't want to share your numbers. So you want to gain and make sure that your opponent loses in where has been defined as your stronghold.
Exactly.
So even if they lose by 1 percentage point and the NDC gains, when you look at the national picture, that's a big gain for the NDC.
Absolutely.
So it's just right that the NPP is spending time focusing on what they gain for the Ashanti region. So let's go to maybe the data itself, and then look at the Ashanti region on that side.
And how it's played out. And while you're pulling that up, it also is mindful for us to keep at the back of our minds that the Ashanti region and the Greater Accra region, because they have the most numbers, normally their results come in later in the day. So you might win a region, but 2 or 3 constituencies in the Greater Accra region
can shift the
exactly. So we'll have all those conversations as part of our build-up. But this is what the Ashanti region has looked like over time, or 3 election cycles. So maybe we can start picking some specific constituencies.
Okay, so what you see with the Ashanti region again is that in the 2012 election, of course, NPP won, all the way down to 2020.
Right.
What is interesting to note here is the percentage, right? So the NDC got up to 30%, if you round it up, in the 2012 election. Of course, that dipped sharply to 25% in the 2016 election. They made some gains, which is, again, a huge gain when you look at it being the stronghold of the NPP. They made some gains, getting back up to almost 30%, so 29, 28% in the last election. But when you look at the figures itself, despite the gains of the NDC, in the 2020 election, the NPP won. The percentage was less, but the number of registered voters went all the way up by almost 100,000 plus. Right? So when you look at the 2016 election, the NPP won by almost 100 and having 1.6 million voters cast their vote for them. And then when you look at 2020, they got an increase, actually 1.79, which is almost an increase of about 200, right? So,
right. So clearly, that is what it looks like for us when you look at the Ashanti region. And there are some interesting issues. We'll look at the specific numbers in a jiffy. But news just coming in is that the chair of the Electoral Commission, Madam Jean Mensah, is about to address the media. And so we are crossing over right about now to hear exactly what the EC chair has to tell Ghanaians.
To the doorstep of every Ghanaian. Through our media partners, we were able to ensure that the citizens were well aware of our processes, and we'd like to thank you for your commitment, for your partnership in ensuring that our processes remain transparent and open to any interested Ghanaian. As we speak, all our registers have been prepared. We have completed the preparation of our voters' register, and they have been disseminated across the country. We are also near completion with our ballots, the preparation of our ballots for the presidential and parliamentary elections. And all the ballots, with the exception of the Northern region, the Bono region, and the Bono East, have been disseminated to our police armories across the country. I'm well aware that the ballot papers for the Northern region the Bono and Bono East regions will be disseminated to the police armories this afternoon. And we'd like to thank the police for their support and also the Army for their support and remaining with us throughout this process. As you may be aware, in each of our printing houses, we have not only the political party agents, but we also have members of the police service and the Army service accompanying us and observing the process along with us. And so we'd like to thank you for your presence at the various printing houses and also for accompanying us to the various armories. We'd also like to thank you for safekeeping of our ballots in the various police armories across the country. It's instructive to note that our biometric verification devices are also being prepared, and we are confident that by this weekend, all the biometric verification devices will be safely lodged in the police armories across the country. As we speak, we have over 8 regions. The biometric verification devices have been sent to over 8 regional armories, and they are in safekeeping there. It's important to highlight that the Commission has recruited close to 210,000 temporary officials across various categories, from returning officers to deputy returning officers, presiding officers, polling assistants in all the 40,900 plus polling stations across the country. And as we speak, they are undergoing extensive training in all the constituencies. We have training undergoing for all the categories of staff. And as a top-up, we have also developed some videos so that once the training, the physical training is done, we would disseminate the videos so that our staff would be able to refresh their memories and, you know, go through the various training programs that they have been provided. This year, we have developed what we call aid memoirs, and based on feedback from the ground, from our officers on the ground and feedback from the various election observation missions, we've developed aid memoirs, which are basic instructions on key aspects of our work. And the aid memoirs are instructions that will be posted on the walls at the various centers, right from the polling stations to the constituency, regional and national collation centers. There will be basic instructions that will govern and guide us in terms of the requests for recounts and recollations and so on across the various collation centers. The aid memoirs would also focus on, you know, issues such as the correction of errors on the various forms should such arise. And so you should witness this. I believe when you go to our various centers, you see these instructions posted on the walls which provide clarity to areas that hitherto were considered gray areas. And so basically, in a nutshell, this is how far we've come. We are fully prepared. We believe that our staff are receiving adequate training to enable them to perform creditably on election day and in the hours after that. We stand in readiness to conduct, as you may be aware, the special voting on Monday, the 2nd of December, 2024. The special voting would go on in all 328 special voting centers across the constituencies. I believe that you are aware that the special voting is restricted to members of the security, members of the media, and some of the EC's own electoral officials who applied for special voting. And it is limited to those who applied. And by this we refer to the security agencies, the media, and the election officials. But you must have applied. We have worked with the Election Security Task Force and the media agencies through the Ghana Journalists Association. And to date, we've provided the register or the list of persons who are registered on our special voters register to both agencies. And we believe that this has been exhibited on the websites to enable those who registered visit the websites to clarify their voting centers and so on and so forth. So we are confident that we'll have a successful special voting arrangements on Monday, the 2nd of December. Our officials are in readiness. We have an adequate supply of the ballot papers, the indelible ink, the various forms that may be necessary. And of course, the biometric verification devices are also in place to ensure a smooth and seamless special voting exercise. Force in the person of the Inspector General of Police to also brief us on their readiness. But we would like to thank all of you, as I mentioned, the police service, the army, and all the other agencies for your support at our various centers, the fire service, the immigration, the customs, the prisons. We know that you all stand in readiness, and together we will work to make the elections a peaceful and successful enterprise. So thank you very much.
Very comprehensive.
Sorry. Is this working now?
Okay. Shoot. Person and your able team from the Electoral Commission, my colleagues, heads of sister security agencies, and my colleagues, members of the National Election Security Task Force, both the heads and the technical teams made up of all the officials from the security agencies of our beloved country, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my brothers and sisters from the media. We want to say that on behalf of the entire membership of the National Election Security Task Force, we want to thank the chairperson and her team for the warm reception that has been accorded us since we arrived in this building. In fact, since the election process began, this place has become our second home. We have been in and out of it at every major stage of the elections process. That demonstrates the commitment we have towards supporting the lead institution in this election, which is the Electoral Commission, in carrying out its mandate. And we want, at this point, to commend, and I want to repeat, commend the chairperson and her team across the country for an excellent job done so far. We have been with them every step of the way, every inch of the journey, and we know inside out the work that has gone on to bring us to this point. And as you realized when Madam Chairperson was going through all the processes that we've done so far, every stage of it, we have been there with them, supporting them in carrying out their mandate. And so far, with what we are seeing relative to what has happened in the past, it means we have come that far and we have seen a lot of improvement. So, Madam Chair, you and your team, we are grateful to you. Ghana is grateful to you. Africa is grateful to you for showing the way for us when it comes to elections. Madam Chair, we are also grateful, and we are here today to celebrate with you the special bond of relationship between our two institutions. And here, by this, I mean the institution of the National Election Security Task Force and the Electoral Commission, when it comes to the partnership we have exhibited during this election process, which has taken us to another level, where we are able to work together, both formally and informally, with phone calls flying all over the place in making sure things get done. And maybe the last phone call I received yesterday was somewhere around 10:30 p.m., all towards making sure that the logistics movement and all the things that we do are on point to ensure that we give Ghana the election it deserves as a beacon of hope for Africa. So, Madam Chair, we are here to celebrate this partnership, and we believe that the way we are working in supporting you, who is the lead agency, if we continue like that, truly this election will be the most peaceful in this country. Madam Chair, you have told us all the work that you have been doing. We are aware of it because we have been working each journey with you. And in terms of our preparation, for the benefit of the public and the generality of Ghanaians, we want to also assure them that, in fact, we are over ready as the security agencies in support of the excellent job that you are doing. And we will do all what it takes, and I repeat, all what it takes to ensure that this country continues to be at peace with herself. And in our readiness, Madam Chair, we want to also say that we will protect every Ghanaian and we will protect every stakeholder in these elections. And more importantly, we will protect you and your staff as they go about their constitutional duty of ensuring that the election is executed to the benefit of Ghanaians. So that assurance we want to give to you and to your staff for them to feel free to undertake their assignment without any hindrance or without any fear, because we will have your back as security agencies. Madam Chair, also we are here today as a way of debriefing, as we have always done. We've done a lot of work when it came to the printing of the ballots and the transportation of the ballots across the country. And like you rightly indicated, we are 95% done, and with the BVDs, we are also almost 50% done. And looking at the timetable that we are working with, we are sure that within the shortest possible time, over the next couple of days, we'll be done with all this, and all these facilities and logistics will be in place at where it matters. So we are here to look at that debriefing, and I know after this session, our technical team will meet your technical team, then we'll look at it also from that angle. That has been very successful from where we sit. And once again, the commendation goes to you and your team, and we are always going to be there in support of the good job that you are doing. Madam Chair, also we are here as part of the whole process to do with the fact that with the coming into being of the second, December elections in terms of the special voting, we are here to work with you and your team and see to it that beyond that process of re-voting, we are clear in our minds all the issues that you need us to address to make sure that that aspect also pass successfully. So that is also something that we'll work with you and your technical team to firm up the already ongoing deployment of those resources. Again, one other very important matter, Madam Chair, that we are also working on and are coming here to work with you and your technical team is now that we have the logistics, almost all of them at the regional levels where they matter from the center. Then the next level, we are also with the technical team and with your technical team, knowing the work that you've done, briefing us on it in terms of being able to know the distribution plan also from the regional level onto the constituency levels across the country, so that we'll provide the needed support for you, as we have always done, to make sure that we take that aspect also off the table. So, Madam Chair, in brief, we are here to commend you and your team and to assure you that we are there for you and your team in protecting you and ensuring that you have the peace of mind to do your job. And also to let all Ghanaians to know that we are also ready to do the job that they have assigned us, and to plead with them that the way we have conducted ourselves so far is commendable, and the credit go to every Ghanaian, and also to all the political parties for exercising restraint and doing something very unique compared to all the elections that we've done in the past, where violence and violence associated with campaigning, registration, and all that are so minimal that we are turning the corner when it comes to our democratic dispensation. And we should stay focused and make sure that at the end of the day, Ghana wins. And finally, also to wish all Ghanaians, to let all Ghanaians know that at the end of the day, each one of us is talking peace. And our talking, we have been able, so far up to this point, translated the talk into action. Let us double the action. We should still talk and still double the action so that our actions will become more powerful and it will back our words. In effect, let's continue to walk the talk of peace as we have all been preaching. And the way we are going, if we double it, I can assure you, Ghana will continue to show yet another example of leadership when it comes to democratic dispensation. On that note, Madam Chair, we are so grateful to be here, and our technical team at the end of this session will meet your technical team, and then you let us know all the things that we need to do to help for the rest of the process to be successful. I thank you very much.
A warm welcome back, and rightly so, we are your election command center. Now, what will be happening between now and December 7 and probably beyond is that a number of these kinds of press conferences will be coming up. They may be seen as interruptions, but relevant interruptions so that you at home can also follow what's happening in line of our preparation to December 7 and hopefully beyond. So because of that, we may have to bring Election360 to an end here, where today Senna Kwashi and I were trying to go through the regions that gained the most voters and the breakdowns and what to expect going into the elections. Just gone by, we saw the chair of the EC, that is Madam Jean Mensah, and the IGP, where the election task force, election security task force, met with the EC chair just so they can be sure that they are on the same page and work together going into the elections. I mean, the most important of everything we are doing now is peace. Yeah. So it's good that we have the key security agencies aligning with the EC to ensure we have peace. The EC, amongst other things, says that, for instance, they have 210,000 officials who have been trained and are still undergoing training. There will be what they call aid memoirs given to the EC officials so that when you go to vote and you have a challenge, maybe the devices are not reading your thumbprint, or, for instance, you see a minor coming to vote and you want to challenge the person, or maybe there are concerns with the biometric devices. There are laid down procedures of how to address these challenges at the polling center. So almost everything is being catered for. You need not worry. Just go according to law and you'll be sorted out. Senna, I'm sure that this actually has more or less taken the wind out of our sail of the crunching the numbers. So thank you very much for passing through.
Thank you very much.
We'll definitely be having and seeing more of you here on Election360. And thank you very much for doing the watching. I am Martin Esiedudate. Up next is News Central. And as always, hasta la vista.